27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
What do you got to eat? Here, guys. Ooh. What's this say? I don't know. What's that say? I know, but I'm not gonna tell. I think it says it's good.
Conjecture Hoops contains all the presumptions, assumptions, and off-the-wall postulations a growing kid needs. Conjecture Hoops, a big bowl of bullshit. Saturday morning cartoons.
Now at night time.
Mostly conjecture based on little knowledge.
Please welcome Max Headshrew, Dell, Aria Blackness, and your most gracious host, Ben motherfucking Jackson. Applause. Applause. Applause.
And Rob's gone. And Rob's back.
I am still here. Kind of.
All the presumptions, assumptions, and off-the-wall postulations that a growing
And gumptions.
boy kid needs.
Yeah.
Gumptions.
Are the
Presumptions,
intros based on
assumptions.
what you like?
Sorry, Fuzz?
Are the intros based on your favourite thing?
No, they're just based on stuff.
Ah.
Pop culture. We do need a new intro, a shorter intro, I think. Especially now we've got a new member, which is Fuzz. Say hello to the audience.
Hello.
Nah. Fuzz.
Finally got some eye candy on the show.
Yeah.
People are starting to get sick of looking at me.
My audio's out.
We hear you. We can hear you.
Now I can hear myself.
We hear you, kid. You're good.
Oh, I know. Hang on. I can fix this. Bear with me. Bear with me.
Brrr. I like the phrase "bear with me."
Come in.
There's a lot of devilish looking mushrooms.
Mushrooms are the devil's food.
Oh, really? Well, then why did God make them?
Is that better?
Me.
It's a good question.
What's going on?
No.
Why are there two Robs?
Don't know.
There's two Robs. I can't hear Fuzz.
Because I'm just tested. Oh,
Yeah, you've gone really quiet, Fuzz.
Well, now you're mute. Now, try now, Fuzz. Say something.
Hello.
Yeah.
I hear you. I
Can
hear
hear
you. So, did y'all read this book, The Crow?
Yes.
No, I can hear myself again now.
Rob, which one do you want? This one? Make it mine. You only get one. You only get one version of yourself, Rob.
Rob, what's happening, man? You muted, Rob. And Fuzz
Yeah.
has disappeared. Oh my god.
So,
Rob, you
Rob,
muted.
Rob, unmute and Fuzz come back. So, did y'all read this book,
Yeah.
The Crow?
Yeah, I've read it before, but I refamiliarized myself with the original.
Yeah, me too.
Still great. Okay, Rob, I'm just gonna take you off for the moment, mate, because you're a disembodied, muted head.
Look at how cool this devil's tooth mushroom is.
I know
Yeah.
what it was.
What was it?
In it,
I had the stream on YouTube as well
Oh, you noob!
because I was watching it. I was notified to watch it, and then it
That's
came on at the
okay.
same time.
That's okay, Fuzzer. We all did it at the beginning. Yeah, look at that one. It looks like a hand.
yeah,
Oh.
it looks like a candlestick or something. Look, they made a necklace out of it. That's wicked cool.
Tooth mushroom.
So what if this Spore character is or should we not talk about this publicly until we make up our minds?
Well, doesn't matter.
What if he's abducted by aliens, but what if he does, it does so much so he's able to withstand the alien what do they call it? Autopsy? No. Autopsy is when you're dead. Rob, what do aliens do when they put things in your butt? Probe. What if he's able to survive the Cybin mushroom?
Why are you
He has
asking
a
me?
weird reaction.
What are you asking me, Ben?
You know, who has
You know why?
the most experience with butt stuff?
Yeah.
Just a lucky guess. Just a lucky guess.
Who's been talking? I want to know. Who's been spilling the beans?
So let's see here. So how cool was this Crow book, right?
Yeah, it was great.
I
Yeah,
got stuff to say. I got stuff to say, but I'll
Go for it.
I'll wait. I'll wait.
No,
No,
you can go
I
first.
will wait.
Well, do you want me to just
All right, you wait.
run you through the its inception?
Mm.
So, is it James O'Barr?
James O'Barr, yeah.
Yeah, wrote and illustrated the book on his own. Took him a better part of a decade to create. It was based upon the fact that he had a girlfriend that was killed in a car crash.
Drunk driver.
By a drunk driver, yeah, and he never really got over it. So he tried to make the comic as a way of sort of exercising that demon.
Yeah.
It didn't work apparently, according to James O'Barr. I think that the franchise itself has been sort of marred with tragedy throughout, because obviously when they made the movie, James O'Barr became friends with Brandon Lee, who played the Crow, and then he died during the filming. And I think James blamed himself for that as well for a while. I think he had a friendship with Brandon's girlfriend, who sort of helped him sort of let go of that guilt. But yeah, the despite that, the film, went on to be an absolute smash, and it brought way more eyes to the comic book itself. Bear with me, I was going to let my dog in.
He's not there.
No, it's the cat then.
So, yeah, the first time, okay, so when I started reading this, I thought to myself, I mean, artistically,
yeah,
it's good, but I'm just looking at some of the forms and and I'm thinking, Wow, I'm trying to find a story of this. You know, like what's the whole background to it? Because I'm just looking, I'm thinking, the artistically it's good, but when you think of like mainstream comics, yeah, I'm thinking, oh, I don't know whether this would ever be kind of taken on by the big two.
Well, it was taken on by Image at one point, but I mean, its inception was it was an indie comic, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, it wasn't done by by any big label, and it just had a great impact. I think after the film, James was asked to write the sequel to the film, which he agreed to, and then backed out afterwards because all he could think of was writing it for Brandon. And then during that film, I think the rights were then sold to Image to make a bunch of comic books, which are all right. You know, there's some brilliant artwork there, but they're all essentially different variations on the same story, which is a revenge story.
Yeah.
Somebody dies, they're in pain. If they're in enough pain, then the crow can't carry his soul to the land of the dead, so it brings it back for you to exact your revenge, and it essentially makes you immortal while you do that.
I'll tell you what I don't like about the Image comic books is, well, a couple of things.
Yeah.
Because the whole story was, the impetus for it was getting revenge on the people in the car that killed his wife in the story. He's already gotten revenge, so there's nothing left for him to do. So the solution was for different people to be resurrected. But I don't like that, because then it's just a one-time mission and then it's over, and then the story is over. And that makes for very repetitive sort of storytelling. Each of the stories is just a different person doing precisely the same thing as before. And I don't think that is good for longevity. And that's why none of those books really sold very well. And I didn't find it interesting, to be honest. And I thought I would, because I like the idea.
I think there's potential there to play with the rules that they've sort of set out, to go in a different way. But I think the problem is no one really has the balls to do it. Like it in the sequel to the film, it focuses more on, I forget the guy's name now, but it's not him revenging his girlfriend or his wife. It's his son. But the cut that they had for the original film was changed quite a lot to basically resemble the original, and then it just looks and plays like a cut price version of the original. But even then, he was still going around killing people that had killed his son. I still think there's definitely legs there to do stuff. I just think when anybody does it for whatever reason, they always try and emulate the original, you know. But it could, a soul being in pain and then being brought back to earth could, you know, fit in.
The thing is,
different types of stories.
The trouble is, since the crow is the one that imbibes the power into the human, it would have made sense to develop the crow more as a character. So what I would have done, if it were up to me, I would have had the same character from the first graphic novel. Then he turns into sort of like a what do you call it? A Grim Reaper or River Styx, whatever, ferryman kind of character. As the crow. And then what he does is he goes around Earth looking for injustice and lending power to people that need it, like the same way that happened to him.
So
I think that would have made more sense.
I like that idea, but then sometimes I don't want to know the origin of why things happen. I just like the fact that it's there.
Right.
Although at the end of the first set of stories, Obar does talk about the fact that the crow is like an iconic persona figure
Yeah.
all throughout history in different cultures. Yeah. And I think you could have a lot more. That would have been very visually interesting. Like the idea of a lot of focus on the crow. I can just like see it in my mind's eye that the crow is there watching, waiting, seeing these different souls depart. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah,
you
that's what
know,
I had in mind.
descending
Yeah.
upon them. That would have been great. And also not just in modern times, but also throughout history.
And
Yeah.
what I like, what I think is missing, I'll let you finish in a second. What I think is missing in the sequels as they are is that there's no continuity. So even if it's not this guy, Eric was his name, Eric. Even if
Yeah.
it's not him, then it should still be the crow, the same crow that resurrects all these different people, and then the crow itself as the angel or whatever it is, it becomes more of a protagonist character because as it stands, the crow itself doesn't really do much.
No.
Don't
Other
look!
than
Don't
just
look!
Yeah.
accompany him and talk to him.
In the book, it talks to him in his dreams sometimes. There's another character
Yeah.
that's
There, don't look! Don't look! Go down. There you go.
There we go.
there's a skull cowboy that he talks to as well that they'd shot scenes for that for the original film but left it out because they thought it was daft.
But here's the problem.
Go on.
Here's the problem because every time that you have to false advertise to sell your book, you're probably not telling the right story because this 4-issue miniseries called Dead Time has cover art by James O'Barr and the interior is not, which is fine. You don't it's perfectly normal. But the trouble is we've got these really cool crow a la James Barr on the cover, and that character is not present in the story whatsoever. It's this guy.
This
He
one
looks
here
totally different.
I had
and
this.
So does he illustrate as well as write?
He illustrated and wrote the original book, but he just did the covers for the new one. Like the one that we're looking at now is like a spin-off. I had this actual book.
Yeah, it's a time-traveling Native American crow.
That's the one. Yeah. So in this one, he doesn't kill the people that killed him. He kills their reincarnated version. Yeah.
Now that's just petty.
And there's nothing, and there's no explanation as to why incarnated or if this time they won't be. All of the logistics of how any of this stuff works is glossed over, never detailed. That's the same problem I have with Spawn. But the real issue here is why give me this cover if it has nothing to do with the story?
I'll tell you why.
Character's not even.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why they did it, and it feeds into the point that I was going to make, right? Because when they're making like these new ones, they feel like they're. I mean, I can totally understand why. They're sort of they feel like they're bound to the aesthetic of the original, right? So every crow or every person that gets brought back has to be some gothic-looking person with long black hair, and you have to figure out a way of putting the paint on their face, and the area in which it sort of takes place is like a gothic rundown city like the first one. But I say that if you're going to do a sequel, keep the rules, but let go of the aesthetic. Like the goth thing was done so well in the first one that you can't really reproduce it without some. Well, it's just Eric Draven, another version of Eric Draven. Like drop the goth thing, right? Like that aesthetic doesn't have to come with the rules of the Crow. You can still do all that, but you don't have to have that Eric's face paint. Eric's face paint was there for a very specific reason, right? He was a heavy metal dude. He had all the gear already, which is why he put it on, because he was a heavy metal guy. The paint that he put on his face was the mask that he wore in front of his girlfriend. Like, it all makes sense. But then as you go on later on, like I think one of the guys in the film, he gets it tattooed on, and then another guy, it's scars that happen to make up. Just lose all that and be have it be its own thing, or have balls when you write it, and let go of the gothic side of it. Like lean into something completely different, but still have the rules of The Crow. Right? There's a million different ways you can tell a revenge story.
I think they're trying to have their cake and eat it too, and it doesn't work. Right. They would have had to either throw out that aesthetic and have a totally different style because it's a different character, or just carry on giving me more stories about Eric.
Unless it's about Eric,
Instead, they put Eric on the cover, and then they give me this other story, and then it doesn't match, and it doesn't work, and I don't like it.
Yeah, and the guy sort of looks like Eric. You know, it could very well be him, right?
Yeah, kind of, because he has long dark hair, but he doesn't wear makeup or
he's
got
anything
like rock music.
He's got like Native American crow makeup on, but it's not the same. It's what the war paint that they wore, you know. But yeah, I would say let go of that.
What does John O'Barr look like? Is any of this like?
Oh, I saw a photo of him.
A little bit on that.
He kind of looks like he could have been like in modeling for certain elements. Well, in his younger days, he had this kind of like high cheekbones, kind of like slim face.
Yeah.
Does he look like his character Eric?
A little bit, yeah. See if you can go. I'll see if I.
I wonder what his missus look like as well.
Yeah. Well, apparently a lot of the dialogue between him and his girlfriend in the book are based on, you know, actual interactions he had with his girl.
Well, was it like therapy for him?
He wanted it to be, but he said afterwards it became just a long period of time where he just marinated in his misery, really.
Oh, so obsessing over it and dedicating all of your effort to thinking about it.
Yeah.
Somehow that didn't help him get over it. What a strange.
Yeah, but what it did do was create something that rang true with a lot of people, you know, and stood the test of time. So, you know, pouring all that energy in helped on a creative basis, but just not on a personal one, which is where you get the idea for the suffering artist from, I suppose.
Yeah, I want to read it more because I know there's a true story element to it.
Yeah.
Because it's more tragic.
I hadn't read that at all. Only after having read it, the story, I was like, yeah, well, what's the story then with O'Barr? What's going on there? And it just makes it so much deeper. Then you understand a whole lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't it
I
make
read
you
the
feel
intro
like...
to it, and I don't think he admitted that it was based on his own story for a while. I think he made up stories as to what it was about.
Oh, really?
I did read that when he was thinking about drawing this story, there was a case of a couple that had been murdered, and then he took that element and introduced it into his own story.
Yeah.
The sequel is, I think the bad guy's a serial killer that targets newlyweds. In City of Angels. So
no, it's just him and his son. Like his wife's a drug addict that's run away. So it's his son. He's a mechanic, and his son witnesses a murder, and then the gang essentially execute both of them for witnessing a murder. But they're all stand-ins for the original cast, right? There's another weird top dollar guy who's got a female accomplice who's a bit mystical, and all of the guys below him are like degenerate fuckheads that
right. So it's just a variation on the same theme, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a terrible film. It's got some elements where you go, oh, they could have done something with that, but they never do, you know.
Yeah, I read the graphic novel adaptation of it, and then I watched the sequel.
Yeah,
I didn't care for the film, to be honest, but I think it makes a pretty decent comic book. Let's have a look at it. What I like about it, what I do like about it is the inclusion of this element of the crow being vulnerable, the enemy finding a way to actually be able to hurt the crow and potentially destroy him, which is good, because if there's one thing, if I have one complaint about the original graphic novel, it's that it's a little bit less. It's hard to get invested in the story when he's completely impervious to damage.
Yeah.
And he can just do whatever he wants and not worry about anything. I get why, but at the same time, it makes the fighting scenes. It takes the drama out of him, because there's no way he could lose, right?
Yeah, you need. There has to be a vulnerability, right? Something that you're worried about every time he.
There's always some guy bigger. What is his vulnerability in the sequels then?
So in this one, the bad guy has figured out that the power is derived from the crow itself. So which I think they mention it in the first movie a little bit, but they don't do too much with it. And you never really get the sense that he's in danger. But what he does is he captures the crow and does his voodoo magic, and that way takes away. And I know in the first movie his invulnerability is taken away also, but it's sort of too late.
Yeah.
All the bad guys are already defeated almost by that point. So he takes not only the invulnerability away, but also the crow's power by putting the makeup on by putting on the same makeup on, but with the crow's blood.
Does anyone think the colouring in this is shit?
I was just about to say, I prefer it in black and white.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, it's a mood thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, this will mean nothing to Ben, but Max and Fuzz, maybe you'll get this. And this will either kind of give you an insight into the way my mind works, or B, it'll blow your minds. All right.
Yeah.
Did you ever read the Beano?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, you too as well, Ben?
Yes.
Oh, wow. I'm surprised and impressed.
I was lucky enough that a friend of mine's father had a big collection, and
okay.
We've got a collection in our life.
What character had a crow?
Was it Roger the Dodger?
It was Roger the Dodger. And I'm just thinking, we're talking about this guy, like the idea of the crow being the trickster.
Yeah.
And then that's just like kind of like conjure up these connections in my head of Roger the Dodger. And then what was it? The last thing you said, that the power of the crow is actually in the crow. And I'm like, wow, what if Roger the Dodger's power was actually in the crow and not in his own head?
Younger. So really, the crow is a sequel to Roger the Dodger.
Yeah.
Roger the Dodger grew up and
discovered makeup.
Became goth. Which makes sense, because he's always wearing like black and red long sleeve shirts, right?
Yeah.
Goth one.
No, that would be Dennis.
His black and red stripy top. That was his emo phase.
No.
And then he goes full goth when he starts.
Wait, am I getting?
He had like a racing flag jacket, didn't it? It was black and black and white checks, like a chest.
I think it's black and red. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Quite gothy.
Yeah.
I really don't like the idea, by the way, of getting the power out of the crow or whatever. I think that's
don't like that.
Nah.
He consumes part of the crow. And then that makes him invulnerable as well.
I feel like the crow would be such an entity that if you got the crow and killed it or whatever, it'd just go into another crow. Like you cannot touch that power. It's not even on Earth.
He's totally.
That's a really good point.
I don't like that idea.
That's a really good point, Fuzz. Yeah, because he's the angel of death or something. So you can't just
you can't. There's just no way. It makes
Roger the Dodger is the angel of death. See, that changes a whole perspective, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
I'll have to read it again now.
That's why, Rob, At the end of every Roger the Dodger episode, when he was about to be
What's the solution then?
by his dad, he was never bothered.
Yeah,
because he was invulnerable.
Yeah. Well, it was a crow going.
But then, Katie or Fuzz, what about the crow being invulnerable? Not a problem. You don't mind that? You don't mind him?
Are we talking the
Supermaning
crow
everybody?
or the persona?
I don't mind that. I don't mind that. But
the persona.
I think if anything was to happen to the crow, it could just go into another. Like crows, there's so many of them.
So,
just
how would you apply from a storytelling point of view? How would you then apply a vulnerability to Eric if the crow can't be injured?
I've got it.
It has to be some vulnerability, doesn't there?
No. Okay, so how about this? Sorry. You go first, Kate, because I've got an idea.
No, you go ahead. I just think that the crow can be vulnerable. But it doesn't matter. It can just go into another crow.
Well, here you go.
Yeah, Fuzz doesn't mind invulnerability.
I don't. Yeah. Because to think that nobody could ever catch a crow, I think, is a bit silly.
You don't think it would be more boring though if you just knew there was no way you could die?
I think it should be so powerful and
because then from the first film you remove even the crescendo where they shoot the crow and then they're able to
because they go after the crow, don't they?
Yeah.
Right, and that's sort of how it gets the highest level of stakes because
right,
then he's in danger. So if he's always invulnerable, that's
so you've got to figure out if the crow's invulnerable as well.
Not ideal.
A different way.
Is it?
Yeah. No, it does need to be vulnerable. It does need to be vulnerable.
My work around that is, for example, the animal crow.
Yeah.
For example, is shot, however. And then you would take up like 2 or 3 pages of another crow coming, and like you'd have like visually you'd have a lot of reflections in big dark eyes of a crow on the road. And what happens? The crow comes along, starts eating it, starts pecking at it, feathers everywhere, and the spirit is then absorbed into the carrion crow.
So the new crow consumes the old crow.
There you go.
Do you know what I would like if that happened? Is that after this 5-page story, 3-page story of this new crow, it just dies. And then the old crow
chokes on the other
crow.
So
it was pointless.
Or mushrooms
just like misleading people.
Sprouting from its beak.
Yeah, you're like, it's all right. It's going to come from this other crow, but then the original crow survives, so it's all right.
Yeah, but the original crow's like, "What are you doing? Get off! I'm not dead yet."
Like, oh no, I am powerful. Hang on.
I think I'm with Ben on that. I think he needs a vulnerability.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
But also,
I feel like there's no other way.
How good in the film is the soundtrack?
I don't know. I've never seen the film.
You never seen? Oh my god, you never seen the film?
I know. I mea culpa. I've never seen the film.
You've read it?
It's wonderful. It's excellent.
It's amazing.
I read it. Yeah, I read it yesterday when I was traveling back to the UK.
Oh, you just read the book?
Was that the first time?
Yep. Never heard it. Never really heard about The Crow apart from the film and Brandon Lee, of course.
I prefer to read things and watch it. So I think I think it's better to read it first and then watch it.
Usually, that's the way, isn't it? But I wouldn't mind seeing it. I mean, how did they deal with that? Because obviously Brandon Lee died, didn't he?
Oh, they deal with it incredibly well.
So even if you didn't watch the movie, all the song lyrics and references to.
See, I was wondering if that was my mum's internet.
No. That was.
I'm all totally unsure now.
That was Ben's Colombian internet.
You need to come to England.
Oh, as far as adaptations go, especially around that time, it's really good.
Is it?
Yeah.
All right.
And I haven't read it. I've only watched it, even though I just said it's best to read it first. But
Yeah,
there's definitely
I
a
previously
reason
watched The Crow, but not properly. So I just watched it properly last week.
Yep.
Yeah, there's definitely a reason why the film caught on. Like, you can't tell the parts where Brandon Lee's sort of been replaced. You can't tell.
I didn't notice, and I really tried to look as well.
Mm.
And there were certain points where I thought his facial expressions looked a bit weird, but it was still just him. I don't know where they swapped him.
I think what helps with that film is it's incredibly dark. Like, the aesthetic of it is really well. And there's lots of scenes with him with his hair over his face.
Did the replacement have any talking scenes?
No.
But they did show his face.
There's one scene at the beginning where he's just got out of the grave and he's wandering into his own old flat and he's like really cold. And for 93 or 4, it's incredible. They've digitally put his face onto the stunt double, but I didn't even. For years, I didn't know that scene had even been doctored until I looked at it.
Wow!
Oh shit!
Wow!
And yet, when they do it now, I feel like I can tell every fucking time.
And the scene where he dies in real life is also at the beginning of the film.
Oh.
Because I didn't like, lucky that they filmed that last.
Yeah, when they execute.
They're not lucky, but you know.
They didn't use that footage though, did they?
I don't think.
I don't know.
Oh, I wonder if
they can't have done. By the way, we're just okay, and that's a wrap.
Yeah.
Oh,
it happened recently, didn't it, with Alec Baldwin?
Yeah, the guy, Fun Boy, the guy that plays Fun Boy, he's the one that shot him. There was somebody had left a round in the chamber, and then the blank fired off the round, and he went straight into his chest.
Oh, Jesus.
This guy, is this the guy who killed?
That's the guy. That's the guy.
Did he have any more scenes?
That looks like Jean-Claude Van Damme.
It doesn't. He finishes the film, and he went on to be a fairly successful sort of C-list actor. Been in a few things, but he must be a horrible thing to live with.
Oh, absolutely. And just as you alluded to earlier, that the fact that you work on something like the comic book, and you think this is going to help me so much, and then such a tragedy. Not just any freaking actor, Bruce Lee's only son.
When they died, weren't they?
There were 2 years between. One was 30. I think Bruce Lee was 34 and Brandon was 32.
What about have you heard the conspiracies that the Chinese Kung Fu Mafia killed them?
No.
Because they didn't like, I think it's credible, because they didn't like them teaching
their secrets
to Westerners. So
it might have been a bit late by 1994.
Yeah, maybe.
Bruce Lee had already been inseminated into the European consciousness.
Sure, they were too late, and it was ineffectual. But they were both killed in mysterious circumstances.
Mm.
So
I don't know if it's
never ascribe to.
I'm going to say claim to fame.
Never ascribe to accident what you could conjecture was a unprovable.
Oh yeah, if I was doing a Saturday morning cartoons off the wall conjectureness, then absolutely.
So confirmed. Bruce Lee, Brandon Lee, both killed by the Chinese mafia.
Yeah, killed
no
by
question.
The triads, man.
Yeah.
Don't put that on the internet, because then you'll have to be watching your back every bloody move. Every restaurant you ever walk into in the future.
If I die and then several years later Ben dies at around the same age, you know why.
Come on, kill me.
Because we just cracked the fucking case.
Come on, CCP. Send your assassins. Do your
God.
worst. See what happens.
He's
what
joking,
happens.
really. He's
Try
joking.
to assassinate me, Xi
God.
Jinping.
Does this
See
only
what
apply
happens.
to fighting?
I'll use all my Jeet Kune Do to stay alive.
Can I put the burning crow picture up, Ben?
Yeah.
Do you know where they're both married? Where they're both buried?
No.
In a grave?
In Seattle.
All right.
And
In
they've got
Seattle.
in Seattle. Their graves are next to each. Their grave. I've been there. Their graves are next to each other.
Why are they buried in Seattle?
I don't know, actually. I kind
Who's
of.
the mum? Is she still alive?
Yeah, the mum's still alive. Mum and he had a sister as well.
Oh, so
Yeah.
Why not just have her play the crow?
Say again, Fuzz.
Was it his half sister?
No, it was his full sister.
Oh, so he had 2 kids then.
Yeah.
What's she doing now?
Shannon Lee. Is it Shannon?
Shannon Lee was the sister?
I think it's Shannon.
Is she like a really good actor and martial artist too?
I think she's had real bit parts and stuff. I don't think she went for the acting thing. She recently had a dispute with Quentin
American
Tarantino.
actress, businesswoman.
Yeah,
Really?
Yeah, Tarantino portrayed Bruce Lee in his latest film.
Oh, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and he kind of portrays him as a bit of a wanker.
Yeah, I've seen that scene.
I like that scene.
And
I'll take
Shannon,
that with a pinch of salt.
yeah, Shannon Lee was not happy about
It was funny though.
Tarantino's depiction of her dad, you know. Which I think
there's another film that depicts Bruce Lee, and it's Ip Man 2.
Ip Man 2 and a 1980s film called No Retreat, No Surrender. Have you seen this?
Okay.
It's one of Jean-Claude Van Damme's first films. He plays the bad guy. And it's about a young karate student that's down and out, and he thinks he's shit at karate. And then out of nowhere, in his garage, Bruce Lee comes back from the dead as a spirit and trains him. And he trains him in karate, which is weird because that's not what Bruce Lee did. So Bruce Lee trains a teenager in a martial art he never practiced, and then that teenager uses that martial art like Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Well, what do you think Bruce Lee's been doing in heaven? You know, he's got time on his hands.
For sure, yeah. Fuck all, probably.
So you see, you know, like he's probably up in heaven going, "What am I going to do? Oh, that karate looks interesting."
He's been depicted in a lot of shit. Yeah, but yeah, she took umbrage. And I think, to be fair to Quentin Tarantino, on an interview, he sort of said, look, everybody else that's got a problem with the depiction can, like, suck my dick because he's pretty much a mythical character now. He's supposed to be a mythical character in the film. It's not the real Bruce Lee. He went, but if anyone can take umbrage, it could be his daughter. So she's fine, I understand, but everyone else can fuck up.
Everyone else can fuck off.
Yeah.
He said that on Joe Rogan, I think.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, and she gets to have a bee in a bonnet about it, right? It was her dad, regardless of what you might think about it. I'd have an issue with it if he did it to my dad.
Me, as somebody that's just viewing it and didn't know Bruce Lee, like what he was like, I took it with a pinch of salt and thought that wasn't what he was like. So.
Right. Well, none of us will know because we didn't know him, right?
No.
I just thought it was funny.
Thing is, we don't really know how good at fighting Bruce Lee was. Really.
There are videos.
The irony is, he was exactly like that.
Are there of like real competitions?
I'm pretty sure there are.
Yeah,
if you Google,
I'd love to see those.
There are very few, and they're not like what you would see nowadays. I think Bruce Lee played a pivotal role in bringing sort of the beginnings of mixed martial arts to Europe. But I think by nowadays standards, he would have real issues. Like
I think so too.
You're not putting him in the ring with like John Jones or something. Do you know what I mean? He'd die.
No,
I agree with you.
I have no idea who that is. So no.
He's the best martial artist in the world, mate. That's who he is.
Is
He's unstoppable. He's a bad motherfucker.
Yeah, John Jones is, without hyperbole, the greatest martial artist alive, and I would say ever.
Yeah, probably whoever lived. Yeah.
My money's on John Jones for best ever martial artist.
So he's just unstoppable.
Is he American?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's from Schenectady, I think, or some small
He just
city.
made up a place name, right?
Some small city in New York, close to Rochester.
Schenectady? What?
Schenectady, New York.
Schenectady.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I really like this. I really like this book, you guys. Really, really a lot.
Another beer.
And let's take another look at it.
Where is my mum's
conversations with him imagining and recalling and sort of talking to the ghost of his wife. I have a present for you, Shelley, blah, blah, blah. So you can sort of imagine these idealized memories. They're likely based on real memories that James had of the actual deceased girlfriend, right?
Yeah.
And it's sort of funny because you idealize these memories. You know, here he is proposing. So these sorts of moments are idealized and remembered in a person's mind. And then how much more would you idealize those moments if the person were dead, right? It's sort of an interesting mental exercise.
And it's a good build-up for her obviously dying.
Exactly.
Yeah, people do it with breakups, don't they? They
oh yeah.
Let alone death. Death must be.
Oh my God, yeah.
A million.
And I mean, you could make the argument. You'd have to be a real callous motherfucker, so I'll make it so you don't have to. But you could make the argument that it's potentially more painful to break up than it is for your significant other to die, because you could carry on convincing yourself that this perfect love, idealized love as you remember it, was perfect and eternal. A friend of mine recently got divorced, and I think it's more painful to have these memories. Well, I guess death is more tragic. I shouldn't say otherwise. But the point I'm making is you can idealize it and remember it as your ideal, even if that's not true. Whereas when you break up, then you have to ask yourself if it really was pure true love or not.
If they die, you get, and you're good before they die. You get to preserve, that and enhance that memory, right?
Exactly.
If you break up, then the memory is tarnished.
That's what I was fumbling around trying to say.
No, I totally understand.
But I think as well, if you break up, then if you do see them again, sometimes there's reassurance that it's good to break up. Yeah. There's reassurance that there was a good reason for you breaking up.
Oh yeah. Whereas if you just keep the idealized memory, then that person's always perfect.
Yeah.
Then you never get to move on, right? Which is
right. It's hard, exactly.
Yeah.
And that probably will be the greatest love you ever had, because no one can compete with the honeymoon phase.
Exactly. So he's always going to remember that. So that's why it's so painful. And just look at this flash here. It's so interesting, the angles and the placement of everything. You have to wonder, he must have spent ages haunting the bedroom and places where he used to make love to her and be with her. Because think about how he makes this mundane scenery. This is anybody's house in the hallway between two bedrooms. It's a nowhere place, right?
Yeah.
And yet he's included so much detail, and not just because of the silhouette female nude, but even apart from that, there's so much detail that it makes you realize when you're depressed how you obsess over tiny things, and how you spend time in the same place doing just nothing.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And what a genius artist to convey that visually.
Well, I assume at the time he was like living in it, you know.
Yeah.
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 I really like the artwork on page. I don't know what page I'm on here. But can you see that?
Yeah, we'll make you big.
Yeah, we'll make you big.
Well, you could probably go onto the page.
Oh yeah, that's
could
cool.
do.
Tits.
I think it's really beautiful.
I'll look for that.
It's drawn really well.
I'll look for that one. In the meantime, here's some song lyrics. Rob, you said you didn't watch the movie, so you didn't know the soundtrack. But did you miss all the song lyrics, or did you not recognize them?
In the book,
not here.
Rob's disappeared.
In the book, are the song lyrics the same as the? Are you saying that there's song lyrics in the book?
The lyrics.
Yeah.
Yeah. This right here is lyrics from the song "Hanging Garden" by The Cure.
I did read the introduction to this comic, and it did say that he loves The Cure. So that obviously makes sense.
There's Cure lyrics and also Joy Division lyrics all over the place.
I kind of like it when artists and writers, they bring their musical tastes into stories.
Right, yeah.
I mean, sometimes I would never have known some of those lyrics. You know, it kind of makes you want to, when you read it in a comic, you kind of think, oh yeah, I'll check those out.
It's personal.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. It's like,
so a lot of times he'll just put not even lyrics, but just the title of a song. Like in this case, Atmosphere is a song by Joy Division. And he does that several times. There's another moment I forget. So there are many Joy Division songs, not even quoted, but named. And so what I like to do when I read this is when I get to the name of a song, I'll put that song on and have it playing while I read that bit. Because that's, I suppose, the mood that inspired that bit.
I wonder if he chose The Cure and Joy Division because that's what he listened to a lot in his depression. Or whether
I think so. I think so. I would guess that.
Do you ever think of an era of time where you had a breakup or something bad and you listened to an album?
Yeah. See it into your head is the album of that time, right?
Right.
If you ever see any old strips of mine and there are references to Leo Sayer, you know what's going on. When I need love, I just hold my hand and I touch.
He resonated with the feeling.
It has begun.
I really like The Cure and I really like Joy Division, but I'm not depressed or heartbroken and I'm not really capable of that. But so I wonder if he likes those bands anyways, or if he likes them because of he associates it with his.
Well, they definitely feed into.
Morning.
Well, yeah, he could have liked them anyway, but then obviously the lyrics mean something else when you're going through something different.
Yeah,
that's true. So,
sorry.
That's okay. I have one more thing sort of to talk about in particular that I had prepared, which is the thing I think the movie did better than the book, which is this character, the little girl that he has a relationship with. In the book, it's sort of clumsily done, if I could be so rude as to say, because he sort of just comes across this girl, and I think it's the same situation. She's sitting outside while her mother's turning tricks, and he feels bad for her, but it seems like he's meeting her for the first time here, and she's all like, "Hey, mister, you're a clown, blah, blah, blah." And they sit down and they bond, and that's cool and everything. But then he gives her the wedding ring, the engagement ring, but I don't know. But that's it. And then he just leaves. Go ahead, Fuzz.
I agree. In the film, it means more that she gets that ring at the end.
Because they already know each other, right?
Yeah, because it's a memory for her as well as him. And he's passing it on to her because she knew them both.
Exactly. So I think this scene is a little bit clumsy in the book because he just meets this girl. And so the emotion is less significant because they don't really have a bond. He hasn't looked out for her. So it doesn't really work for me. But in the movie, it makes much more sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree.
See, in this panel, see the panel where they're just sitting silently. Bar could have done a whole lot more with that. To to really let it come across that, you know, that Eric is really contemplating and thinking, and then he could have been like thinking, like being contemplative. Who could be like, you know, looking inside of himself. And then kind of figuring, look, I've got this ring, and there's this poor girl who's got nothing. Like, what am I going to do? Like, once my mission is complete, well, what am I going to do with this? Somebody's going to have it.
Yeah.
Well, why shouldn't I take that? That could have been done a lot with a lot more feeling, a lot more emotion, a lot more visuals. Right. You know, I could see him just like holding the ring here and thinking to himself, you know, and then, you know, hand on the shoulder, you know, hey, how about you take this? You know, what am I going to do with it later?
I think you're right, Rob, because I think it's not clear enough from these panel progressions, is it?
Yeah.
So does he meet her mom in the book?
Yes, later. Yeah. Within the next few pages, because she's in bed with
he goes inside.
He goes inside. The gangbangers.
Oh, so he doesn't just give her a bit of jewelry; he helps her out as well.
Yeah, he helps her out in the same way he does in the movie by giving his mom a stern talking to and putting literally the fear of God in her.
Yeah,
and by quoting what's his name, not Shakespeare, but the guy whose name sounds like Shakespeare. Mother is the name for God in the lips and hearts of all children. Do you understand? Do you understand? So the same thing.
Well, so who's a guy whose name is like Shakespeare?
I'll tell you in a moment. I'll Google that quote.
Does he say that in the film?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, but what's different about it is he knew the girl from before in the film, which I think makes it more sense.
I really like that panel.
The cat, right? The cat's on the stairs.
Just and I like that.
It kind of.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
I like the cats a lot.
Yeah.
The silhouette cats with the glowing eyes. I have some friends outside to escort you down.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I like that.
He hung.
Don't trip over them.
All the cats as well.
Don't die.
He hung you.
It's all the same cat. Those are its 9 lives. 1, 2, 3, 4. Was that actually hand drew the cat?
See, if he was brought back by a cat, then he could only
have 9 chances.
Yeah.
Then he'd only be invincible 8 times, right?
Yeah.
Would it look like Churchill?
William Makepeace Thackeray.
Oh,
I don't know why I used to mix him up with Shakespeare. It doesn't sound that much like Shakespeare. Makepeace Thackeray.
Might be the William part.
Could be that. And a bunch of E's and A's jumps together. Yeah.
William Shakespeare.
Old Bill.
I forget who he was. I don't think I've read anything by him. Like a playwright or something. But yeah, it doesn't
What's kind
matter.
of yeah. Well, what I guess maybe has not aged well is if you go back to the previous panel or the previous page, sorry, the little girl, she's sitting outside in just a pair of knickers, just their underwear on the street. I mean, on the one hand, that's kind of showing parental neglect, right?
Is she in knickers though, or is she in like? I think she's got
on the
like
other
Daisy
hand,
Duke shorts on or something.
You always kind of stuff like this. You're like, oh, show a young underwear on.
Yeah.
Oop. Internet's gone.
Wait, go ahead, Rob. What was your point about the girl?
If you go back.
Oh, you're cutting out, Rob.
I don't know what Rob was trying to say about this, but you can tell us later.
Yeah, I know. Freaking hell.
Oh,
no, go ahead. What were you saying? Just turn your camera off, Rob. It'll help your bandwidth.
He's frozen now. Oh, bye.
Last chance. Tell us what's wrong with this.
He's gone.
He's gone.
Can I say about? I don't know if she's called Sarah in this, but I liked the way Sarah was. She was quite independent. I liked the fact that she was a skateboarder and she had her hair shaved underneath.
Yeah, she had a 2023 haircut way back in the day, right?
And you know what? I don't like that now, but I like it then.
It was cool then because she was the only one doing it, and it showed how independent she was, right? And doing her own thing.
She wasn't trying to make a statement.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. Yeah, because that character is pretty one-dimensional in the book and makes, I think, only one appearance.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I like that she's in it more than in the movie. I like that.
I agree. I think that's the best difference.
Well.
I just noticed this poster that says Stiff Kittens, January 12th at Clutch Cargoes. So that's kind of cool because I think that's a reference to the Cure song, The Love Cats, which not too many people know. The song Love Cats by The Cure was inspired because Robert Smith found out that some neighbors of his had killed some kittens by tying them together in a bag and throwing them in the lake. So he wrote a song about those cats.
And that's why on the video they're underwater, right?
Right.
I didn't know that.
And so I wonder if Stiff Kittens is like a reference to that story because it obviously sounds like dead kittens, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Stiff because they're dead.
Yeah, there's a lot of band references, a lot of band names in it. I think the names for the guys that he kills were all names that he saw tagged in graffiti around the area where he lived.
Oh, that makes sense too.
Yeah, so Funboard, T-Bird, Top Dollar, they're all tags, graffiti tags.
Yeah. Cool. I didn't know that.
Okay, cool.
I don't know why it's morphine when it's obviously heroin. Right?
Yeah, odd choice.
Why change
Maybe
it?
that's just to get past any censors.
Possibly.
That makes sense. That's a good theory. But so is morphine less offensive than heroin or something?
Probably.
I guess so, because it's more medically
it's more medicinal,
connected.
isn't it?
And also, like in the 90s, like the censorship was really weird. The 80s and 90s.
Yeah, you could have laser guns, but not bullet guns, and you could have apparently morphine, lethal morphine injections, but not lethal heroin injections.
Really intense violence, but if you show a tit, then shoots up to 18.
Yeah. It's super weird too, because you can even have think about Japanese censorship where they have the most ghastly, disgusting pornography with incest.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they'll blur the genitals.
Yeah.
What is the point of that?
Well, it's not just the genitals; it's like pubic hair, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
there we go. Atrocity Exhibition. That's another
as an artist,
Joy
as
Division
well,
song.
it really as an artist, it really gets on my tits the way people like get their ass in their hands about nudity in comic books and stuff.
Oh my god!
No, that's the point of art. It's supposed to be drawing the human form.
Right.
And
that's why so many so many superheroes wear spandex, right? Because that way you're able to show the human form.
Yeah,
right. It's naked without being naked.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of like Frazetta and stuff as well, and he always drew his loads of like men and women naked all the time. And people throw the over sexualization thing at it. It's like, no, it's just a piece of art. It's just
Oh, that would be a good. You know what? I would really enjoy that as a topic for a show. Nudity in books.
Yeah, I could talk about that all day.
I like nudity.
I don't know why people get so upset about it.
Yeah.
How would that work? Everyone show their favorite examples of nudity in comic books.
Everybody show their favorite nipple.
That episode will get taken down.
Well, that's what we're doing next episode: nudity in comic books.
Woo! Yeah.
Okay, it's fine with me. I'll have to dig deep and see what I find.
Just bring your favorite nudes.
Well, I picked up. God, what was his name? I picked up a French bande dessinée.
Yeah.
From a flea market 2 weeks ago, and I thought, oh yeah, all right, I'll take that.
Yeah.
I haven't started reading it yet. Oh no, I have. Yeah, and this chick, she's like your regular what is it? Vic's always being accosted and losing bits of her clothing.
That sounds like fun. That sounds very Milo Manara. You know Milo Manara?
No.
Well,
not for her.
So, did you guys get the feeling, like I did, that James O'Barr really doesn't like drugs or drug users? Or not really?
I could see why you might think that.
What was that?
That James O'Barr has perhaps has an issue with drugs and drug users. Because of the way it's depicted in the book and the film, like all the bad guys are druggies, right?
Right.
But that is a trope.
Yeah, it's a characteristic for being
It's a trope in sort of media of the time as well. Like every film that has an anti-hero in it, from the 90s and 80s, everybody's snorting. They do it in RoboCop, right? There's that scene where the business guy's snorting the cocaine off the prostitute. And they all
and that's sort of a signal to the audience. This is a bad guy.
Yeah.
Anytime you see someone taking drugs, that's how you know they're bad.
Yeah. Don't feel
and also they're like a big gang, aren't they? So it's like, where's their money come in? It's usually based around drugs.
Yeah.
Drugs are bad, okay. Don't do drugs.
You're right, Fuzz. I didn't think about that.
I'm just thinking about low life living, usually based around crime, selling drugs or weapons. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense. I think you're onto something.
I feel like Eric Draven is the sort of guy that would have done drugs when he wasn't dead.
Who?
Eric Draven.
Yeah, that's the thing, because he's sort of Batmaning this, right? Because he's got a character that's scarier and meaner than the gangbanger, drug dealer, criminals.
Yeah.
But is he? Then I think about characters like Ranxerox, who is this android that can take drugs and it doesn't do him any damage. So, yeah, where exactly is the line between good and evil? It seems like it seems like good guy rockers also do drugs, right?
Right.
So I don't agree with that line of
But they do
drugs equals bad.
they do good
Unless you're
drugs.
Angus
Okay.
They do good drugs.
Angus Young doesn't do anything.
Good.
Not even alcohol.
He'll last longer.
Yes, he's still alive.
Exactly. Where's
Where's
Eric? He's dead, isn't he?
Yeah.
Oh wait, but he doesn't do drugs. But I like this scene where he injects himself with morphine, aka heroin, to numb the pain, so that he can then carve this into himself without feeling it. Right, the crown of thorns.
I thought he couldn't. Can he feel then?
He can feel. He just can't.
He just can't die.
Yeah.
Right. Question: is this badass because he gave himself a whole CC of medical? That doesn't make any sense. You don't have one CC.
No, what is the point?
There you go. You answered the question. Why is it morphine and not heroin? Because he injects himself, and you don't want the character to inject himself with heroin, right?
Why not?
Because that would seem worse than morphine, I think.
Okay, that seems silly.
To
but
numb himself from the
I
pain.
agree that it's silly.
Here's my question: would it have been more badass if he had carved the crown of thorns into his body without numbing the pain, or is this more badass because he's doing drugs?
Well, what's the point of the
badass
scene?
innately?
I like the fact that he used the morphine.
Me too.
Yeah.
I think
is he
not just
proving
the
a point?
carving of the thorn. I think it's not just the carving of this this crown, but also he knows he's gonna be, going head to head with a group of people, and he's got to numb the pain because he's got to fight on through it. He knows he's going to take some blows, so he probably wants to numb the pain to be able to deal with the whole lot of them.
If there's a point to it like that, I think it's more.
I would have liked that if they'd said it before a big fight. He was like stuck it in.
Yeah. By the way, I've got something here. Going, going. I am what I am, and I can't take no more.
Katie, show us the parts in the book that you like a lot.
I haven't read it, but I'm just flicking through the.
Yeah, but you were telling me you liked some of the art.
As you know.
Yeah, show us the tits.
Show us the tits.
I like Katie. She could come back.
Well, not your tits.
I like somebody that draws a woman.
A good woman.
A good woman.
Dude, you lucky bugger, Max.
Women are cool.
Yeah,
I think
curves. Tits are not bad either.
If they've got curves and if they've got a really flat stomach and big tits, I think that is just beautiful to look at.
Yeah, I do too.
I just don't want to say anything for fear of being sexist.
I also like how he draws the male figure too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like those because he's not just like a big buff guy. He's also kind of skinny buff.
Yeah, yeah.
And when he's doing ballet and stuff,
he looks
really
athletic.
skinny.
He doesn't look overly muscular. He looks athletic, so
right.
Yeah,
there's an element of being able to handle himself.
Have you seen the test footage of hello, buddy?
Hello.
Hey.
What's his name? The guy that plays Aquaman, Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
Jason Momoa.
Can anybody hear my voice?
Yeah, we hear you, but Rob's making weird noises for some reason.
No, it's Buddha's
What
speakers.
is it?
Oh.
Buddy need to mute.
Oh, mute.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Yeah. Maybe not mute, but maybe get some headphones.
Yeah, get some headphones, Buddha. Because I can.
Because there was an echo is why, Buddha.
Yeah.
Haven't got headphones. What were you saying, Max?
Jason Momoa was going to play the Crow in the reboot, and there is test footage on YouTube of him in the makeup, and he doesn't look bad, but he's too
buff.
Big, way too buff.
Lobo, isn't it?
He needs to play Lobo, yeah. Let me.
Yeah. He could be a good Lobo, not a good Crow. Who else could play?
You have to be slim and athletic if you're going to play the Crow.
I can tell you, Ben, who is going to play, who has already shot the Crow movie as the Crow.
No. Go.
It's already finished.
It better not be Timothy Chalamet.
Is that?
I'm tired of
that. I love June. Don't you like him in June, though?
It's not him, anyway. It's the guy that played... It's Skarsgård. It's the guy that played It.
Oh, okay. That sounds good. I don't remember his name, but that'll work.
Pennywise?
Yeah.
Really?
First,
I think an image of it.
They're doing a new Willy Wonka, and they've
Timothy
Chalamet. All right, just stop. Stop with Timothy Chalamet already, please.
It's awful, doesn't it?
I do like him. I do like him. I don't think that's good.
The Skarsgård guy, when I first heard it, I was like, oh. But now I'm thinking, after going back over the book, because apparently this adaptation is going to be closer to the book version than the movie. I can see him as more as the comic book version of the Crow than Brandon Lee's version of the Crow. I feel like he actually might fit it more facially. Because the Crow in the book, if you see the way he draws, he's got giant eyes.
Yeah, he has actually. Yeah.
It's a bit.
And
it's kind of manga. It's almost manga, isn't it?
They're huge, but Skarsgård's got massive eyes as well. He's got really big eyes.
Yeah.
Well, it's the cheekbones, I think, that Skarsgård has going.
Yeah. So if they're planning on,
it's kind of like Pennywise, isn't it?
A little bit, and he's even got the eye. The eye makeup's somewhat similar as well.
Yeah,
lines going over the eyes.
Maybe he might be a better version of the source material, because Brandon Lee is the Crow, but it isn't an adaptation. He's changed. The character's not as theatrical as he is in the comic book, although he's a bit more like the Joker than he is.
Yeah,
I think Bill Skarsgård is a great
Bill,
choice.
or is it?
I don't know. I think so.
I think it's Bill Skarsgård.
Isn't that the one that was in True Blood? Is that the one who's playing him?
No, he wasn't in True Blood. He was in another.
He's best known for It, right?
I think Bill is the one that's in True Blood.
No, it's the guy that plays It. Yeah.
I think there are more than one actor.
I got a question that I didn't get round to Googling.
Go on.
Hi, Buddha.
Hi, Buddha.
Sorry, I'm late.
It's okay.
Bill Skarsgård is the guy that's in True Blood.
See, I got a question I didn't get round to Googling earlier, and that is what?
Question, Rob.
Go, Rob.
Can you hear me again?
Yeah, we can
hear you. Ask your question, please.
Oh no.
Speak. It just goes on I was going to say goes on the first. Sorry.
Yeah, you cut out there, mate.
We'll type your question in the chat, and we'll get around to it.
Can you see this?
God, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not
What's
a fan
this?
of street.
Jason Momoa.
Jason Momoa as the Crow.
I don't like that.
His face looks good. His face looks. It doesn't look as bad as I thought it would, you know.
He's too big.
You're right. He's too wide.
Yeah, he's fucking huge, isn't he?
Yeah. He's Hulk shaped.
Yeah.
Not Crow shaped.
He just needs to be skinnier. I think his facial shape, like his jawline and everything works well.
Yeah, his face looks better than I would have imagined, than I would have expected, I will admit.
Go on, Rob. What was the thing you were saying?
He said plenty of time to Google and find out. Whatever it was.
He's frozen. He's frozen.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It just seems every time I start talking, my internet goes on a fritz.
It's working now.
Jesus.
Quick.
Okay, so I wanted to Google this earlier, and I never got around to it. And what else did Brandon Lee play? Like, what other films did he do?
He was in Rapid Fire.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
And Big Trouble in Little Tokyo or something like that.
Yeah, let me type you the.
Okay, so.
Buddha, what were you going to say?
I was talking about Skarsgårds. There are 4 Skarsgårds. That's why it's confusing.
Yeah, I'm out.
Yeah,
I knew there was
going to be
one
disturbing you
Skarsgård.
guys. All right, bye.
Sorry, Rob. Rob, maybe if you go closer to your router. So there are 4 Skarsgårds, Buddha?
Yes. There's the 3 brothers. There's the one from True Blood. There's the one who's in Vikings.
Yes. What's he called?
They've all got. They're all Skarsgårds. They all merge into one.
Floki.
Yes.
No, it's not Floki. Oh yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, so Floki is brothers with it in real life?
I've seen Floki less.
The guy from True Blood and Mute.
That's
and
Bill. No, it might not be Bill.
And then the dad of all 3 of those is Peter Skarsgård, who's in the Avengers.
Yeah.
And Thor.
He's like the scientist guy.
Pirates of the Caribbean. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
He was in that.
Dad. Yeah. I have absolutely no context, by the way, what we're talking about here. I just came in on the Skarsgård.
He's going to be in the new Crow film. I don't know whether it's Bill Skarsgård or not, but I thought it was Bill because Bill is called Bill in True Blood.
I think it's Bill because Bill's the one that played it, and that's the one whose face would look the most crowy.
Yeah, I think I was getting confused because in True Blood is called the main guy's called Bill.
Okay. Yeah, but not the guy who's played by. Is it Peter Skarsgård?
No, that doesn't ring a bell.
I'm on my phone, so I can't Google anything.
Oh, go look it up.
Listen, the guy in True Blood is his brother. It's not him. It's not Bill.
I know,
it's not
but
Bill.
what are their names?
But he plays a character called Bill. That's why it's confusing.
I've got to IMDb it. You know I can't go on until I know.
There's just a character called Bill in True Blood.
Alexander
not even him.
is the one
Alexander
in True Blood.
Skarsgård, yes.
We needed to know.
He's the most
we did
famous
a
one, isn't
fucking
he?
show on this.
Is he the most famous one?
I don't know, because his brother's quite famous now, isn't he?
Well, his dad's quite famous as well.
Oh, his dad, yeah.
Gustav Skarsgård was Floki.
Yeah, I think he's the least established.
He's also the least hair.
He's really good in Vikings, though. I really like him.
I agree.
If you had a little sort of plated beard.
Oh, there's another one, Volta. He's not related, is he?
He doesn't look like them, does he? He looks much younger, anyways.
He does look like
this
them.
conversation has to end.
I've got to know.
All right, no more
No,
Skarsgård.
he is related. He is related. There's 4 brothers.
I don't care.
There's a lot of Skarsgårds. One of them might be the Crow.
All of them are the Crow.
That they're all in acting. Sorry, carry on.
This is all conjecture.
Going to be a different Skarsgård in every scene of the Crow as the Crow.
Well, if he dies,
He just
they'd
gets
be all right.
older
They
and
all look
older and
alike.
older and older and older until he dies, like me.
Of old age.
This conversation.
Of having this
It's
conversation.
interesting.
What? How many Skarsgård brothers there are?
Yeah, I'm interested. I wanted to know, and you know what? I'm glad I know now. So thank you.
They're all established. They're all doing well.
Oh, I'm happy.
They're killing it. They're living their best Skarsgård lives.
They could play the crow in several moments in time.
That's what I thought. That's what I said.
Oh right. Sorry, you should have spoke louder.
You always say that I shouldn't.
What else? That's everything I wanted to talk about. What else do you have to say about this movie and book and artist?
Don't add me back. Background only.
All right. Well, you could just watch the show on YouTube for that, couldn't you, mate?
Oh, I miss Rob.
Just try him, it might work.
Oh no!
I don't know why that makes me crack up so much.
No,
But he's put as his name, "Don't add me," background only. It's really funny.
That's hilarious.
It's really, really funny.
You should have been more obvious, mate. We couldn't tell.
Right.
So, yeah. It sucks when your girlfriend dies in it, but at least you can still listen to The Cure a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, see you next time.
As we've just seen, drugs make your problems go away. So make it the best day possible. Remember, it's drugs that counts. Take one and take a chance.
Saturday morning cartoons.